Latest talk in London today is that Boris is spineless, he's weak, and his reaction to Russia just went over the border. Russia invaded Ukraine yesterday. They actually went over the border officially into Ukraine, armed. And Boris's initial response was a few weak sanctions on a few oligarchs and a few banks is nothing. And everyone's saying, this is nothing. What are you doing? You're weak, you're spineless. So Boris is next, what he's talking about, and the talk is all is enough. Is okay, we've got to do more, we've got to do more. I mean, they're not going to bring in military. They're not going to military and start a shooting war with Russia. Not yet. Nowhere near that yet. So his next thing, he said, we're going to start confiscating property in London. I'm driving around London now, and any very wealthy Russians who have top of the market property in London, the talk is, and all his talk is all that's needed, confiscation or banning or outright confiscation. They can do that, you know. And this leads to a bigger question. So first of all, the talk of that is enough. They're all getting worried. They're trying to sell. They're just trying to sell now, even 50% of the value. Sell now, get your money out before you could lose it, if things really go crazy. And then people worry about, well, any property in any country. What if you own property? What it comes down to is, whatever is inside your country's borders or outside your country's borders is liable to be taken. Ownership is 9/10. Possession is 9/10. So mines, if you've got mining shares in Mexico, you know, silver mining shares in Mexico, well, Mexico could just shut the borders. Whatever inside our borders is ours now. I said, no, but I got this bit of paper saying I've got this many units of currency invested in your silver mine. They don't care. It doesn't matter. It's meaningless. What's happened in Canada has really got people thinking. I mean, the freedom fighters in Canada, the truckers there, they are all very similar to the doctors and nurses in the UK. Now, I went through this with me and my wife in the UK. My wife was going to lose her job. She wouldn't have this injection no matter what. And all the doctors and nurses were going to lose their job. And the hospitals would have had to shut down if this mandate. They said no jab, no job. And so many doctors and nurses would have lost their job. They will not have this injection no matter what. Even if they throw away decades of their career and study qualifications, throw it all away. They will not have this injection no matter what. But the doctors and nurses won. You know, they won. The freedom fighters won, and the government backed down. All the freedom fighters want is, look, don't force it on us. Don't force this injection into people. Otherwise they lose their job. Those who want to have it can have it. Those who don't want to have it don't have to have it. Just, you know, pro-choice. Don't force it. And that's all the freedom fighters want in Canada. They just want to, don't force it on people. I've got a big fire engine coming past me. Let's let him past. But Trudeau and Big Pharma, who are above the government, and they're saying, no, don't back down. And look at the truckers in Canada. They're not going to back down either. They will not back down. So Big Pharma tell the politicians, okay, start confiscating bank accounts. Start confiscating retirement funds, investments, ETFs, stock shares, any paper or digital illusion of wealth. Anything. If you've got a paper promise, you might have a bit of paper. Or you might not even have a bit of paper. But you've got a digital, a password to sign into your account. And you've got a digital promise of wealth. You've got this investment or this cryptocurrency. And you've got, you know, a private key or a Trezor or an NOS. It's all digital illusions of wealth. And it could all be gone in the blink of an eye. If a shooting war happens, if this war happens in Europe, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think the tensions are escalating. All that matters is what you can touch. If it's outside your country, if it's in a vault somewhere else, you might have a bit of paper or digital promise, doesn't mean anything. Those Russian oligarchs who've bought property in London, they're starting to realise, hang on, I could just lose that right now. So they're going to rush to sell, and they're all rushing to sell now. Even if they can get 50% for it, anything that's better than 0%, they just want to sell it now. And this is causing a massive price crash in London. It starts from the top down. First of all, the super mega £100 million properties and blocks of flats, they're all being rushed to be sold. With this war, this escalation situation in Europe, and I think it's going to spread all around the world. So this situation in Canada, the same thing. Trudeau has been told by Big Pharma to start confiscating bank accounts, retirement funds, anything. People thought they could rely on their retirement fund. They've been paying into their retirement fund for decades, and that's what they're going to rely on when they retire. And Trudeau can just take it. If you support the freedom fighters, or if it's anything we don't like, we can take it. And now people are realizing, hang on, anything inside their system I could lose. Anything inside their system, paper or digital, illusion of wealth, bank account, stock trading account, ETF, bonds, anything in their system you could lose. So the bank runs have started. The bank runs have happened in Canada, and they're spreading. Banks have closed down. When there's a run on a bank, they close down. They make some excuse: technical problems, shortage of staff, COVID. Everyone's blamed on COVID. Sorry, the bank's closed, and everyone wants to withdraw. They cannot withdraw. Those who can withdraw, and it's not a case of digital, just withdraw it to some other bank account or move it around inside their system. You can move digital blips inside their system to another account. That's not getting out of the system. But some people think, okay, I'll withdraw it all in cash. And if you are able to, and not many people are, but if you're able to withdraw all your hard work life savings in cash, and you think, I'm safe now, I've got it outside the system. No, you haven't. That cash is still inside their system. Dollars, Canadian dollars, US dollars, Australian dollars, pound sterling, Japanese yen, euro, that is all inside their system. Whatever fiat currency. I suppose it's a bit better. Having it in cash is a little bit better than blips on a phone inside your digital bank account, but not much. It's still inside their system. The only answer is to buy physical silver. That is outside the system. Physical gold is outside the system, but gold is nowhere near as good as silver right now. The price ratio is 80 to 1. 80 parts silver are at the moment valued the same as 1 part gold. Absolutely ridiculous. So why would you buy gold when you could buy 80 times more silver at the moment? When it goes back down to 15 to 1, which it will, it's a long-term average for thousands of years, 15 parts silver to 1 part gold, because for thousands of years, that's how many ounces were coming out of the ground. It's usually 15 ounces of silver are mined for every 1 ounce of gold for thousands of years. Now that ratio has halved. It was always 15 or 16 ounces. Now it's about 8 ounces coming out of the ground for every 1 ounce of gold. Roughly 8 ounces of silver are being mined for every 1 of gold. But the price is 80, not 8, 80. 80. So if you go to a dealer with however much currency you've got, the price of 1, say, kilo or ounce of gold, you could buy 80 kilos or ounces of silver with that same currency. And that is outside the system. So the bank runs have started all around the world. Started in Canada. The bank runs have started. The runs out of property are starting in London now. It's starting with Russia, but soon the rich Chinese are going to start thinking, hang on, because there's a lot of very wealthy, and I don't mean like the super, super wealthy. I'm just talking about the average millionaires and billionaires, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Chinese averagely wealthy who own property in London, and I'm not even talking about the high-end property. They're only millionaires, which isn't that wealthy nowadays. A millionaire, there's just so many of them, especially from China, and they buy average houses. If you look at them, they look like a modest or average apartments, flats, a block of flats. Well, they're going to start realizing, hang on, if Britain decides to confiscate property off Russia, they could do that to China next. And the Chinese want to sell up. They don't want to risk losing their property in London. So they're going to start, it's just like the run on the banks. There's a run on property sell, and then it's going to start, well, anything outside my borders, anything that somebody else holds could be confiscated, could be lost. If you've got mining shares, I mean, what's best? To have shares in a mining company that mines gold or silver, or to have gold or silver? The answer is a paper or digital promise of shares in a mining company could be gone in the blink of an eye. But if you can touch your gold and silver, that is outside the system. You've got to be able to touch it. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Anything else is still inside the system.